As we all know, the United States is a huge market, right now valued at $24 billion. What does that translate to? Well, about 3 Americans out of 10 drink wine, about 94 million consumers. And the important thing to understand is that those aren't spread out equally over the market. We all think of it as the #1 market in the world, but it's actually 51 distinct states, all with their own way of dealing with liquor laws, imports, grocers, retailers. So it is a complicated market. Here you see the 4 main consuming states, the ones that are really the drivers of the United States, with New York, Florida, Texas, and of course, California. It's important to remember that the United States has this very particular structure of the 3-tier system. You have the importers, then separated by a completely different tier into the distributors. Important to know that 10 distributors account for 63% of the market. So although we have 2,000 distributors, there's a few that really matter a lot. And then the 3rd tier is the retailers. And again, spread out, fragmented, but when you look at the split, you still have a few key players. When we look at the market of domestic versus imported, obviously it's a huge market, but it is still very much an American market. As you can see, nearly 3/4 of all wines drank in the United States are domestic wines. 27% for imported wines. And as Cecile mentioned, about 60% of those imported wines come from 5 leading countries in Europe. So Europe has a major part, but we can't forget that this is very much led by domestic consumption. So very briefly, let's take a look at some interesting news, starting with consumer trends. You'll all be happy to hear that Americans are confident. Things are going well. For anybody that's been there recently, you know that restaurants are full, and it is officially impossible to get a reservation anywhere these days, which obviously is a very good impact on sales of wine. And the important thing is that a lot of this is led by young adults. Young adults are the new target. They are open to trying new things, and you've got a lot of them coming to the market every day. 15,000 new consumers of wine coming into the market every day in the United States. People that you have to capture quickly. And the other thing to keep in mind with these young consumers is that they are connected, they talk about wine, they are online, and they are constantly looking for new information and brands that are willing to talk to them. In terms of sales trends, few interesting facts. Rosés are on the rise. Maybe the United States all see life through rose glasses these days, but these wines are certainly doing very well. M's are on the way. Obviously, Chardonnays are still very important. Cabernet Sauvignon is still very important. But the interesting newcomers into our market that have really taken the market by surprise are Moscato and Malbec, to the detriment of some of the more established ones like Merlot that has been decreasing. New formats, again, you're looking at a market that's very open to new things, very open to trying new approaches, and new formats seem to often come out. Now, of course, you're not looking at huge quantities of sale, but it's an interesting way to get into this market. And then in terms of industry trends, and we might be talking a little bit more about that later on, the importance of online. It's not just a side business anymore. We are looking at 30 to 40 billion in value of wines sold online. So you can't discount the fact that all of these new consumers aren't just looking for information, but are actually looking to purchase online. The other important trend, especially for anybody that's already doing business in the United States, and has worked with some of these particular states where there are monopolies, very similar to what we see in Canada. And then the last thing is that size matters. At least it does in the United States. And we are seeing a very big consolidation of major players. We've seen it over recent years. We've seen an acceleration of it. That means that you've got a few key players that are really making the market. It also means that for anybody that's trying to get into the market, you either have to play with the big boys and play by their rules, or you have to be willing to go little by little through smaller folks that are going to be more flexible, but it's going to take time and it's going to take effort to really get into this market.